Hello YouTube, I'm Chris Russell, author of the Songs About a Girl trilogy, and these are my top 5 tips for aspiring authors. Number 1, be curious. Writers are first of all observers. You have to be curious about the world around you, and if you see something that interests you or surprises you or intrigues you or scares you, write it down, because that could come in handy one day. Equally, be curious about your own life. Go out and have adventures. I personally didn't start writing books until I was about 30, and I had, by that point, already spent a number of years touring the world with my band. Then I took all the things I'd learned about music and love and friendship and family, and I poured them into my novels. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be 30 or 40 or any age to write a book. In fact, I've just finished this novel by Alice Oseman. I was born for this. It's a fantastic book. Alice is still in her early 20s. She's extremely prolific and talented. But I think if I had written a book when I was, 17, it would have just been the story of a teenage boy with an unhealthy obsession for Bon Jovi and Counting Crows lyrics earnestly written across his bedroom walls. So get out there and live your life. You can only be a storyteller if you have a story to tell. And if you have adventures of your own, then the adventures that you write will be all the richer for it. Number 2, be patient. Publishing is a long, long game. It takes time to write a novel, it takes years. It takes time to find a literary agent, it takes time to find a publisher. Once you have a publisher, it takes time to edit and publish and market a book. Once your book is out there, it takes time to establish a reputation, to find readers, to sell books. But to paraphrase the 1990s tomato ketchup advert, the best things come to those who wait. And not just ketchup either, but, book sales, awards, buses. Number 3, be forward-thinking. Now this is really important. The book that got me my literary agent, and then subsequently my first publishing deal, wasn't Songs About a Girl. In fact, it wasn't even YA. It was this novel here, Mock Stars, which is sort of loosely based on my tour diaries for my band, The Light Years. When I finished this book, I went out and got rejected by many, many agents, as is the fashion for aspiring authors. But eventually a guy called Ed Wilson at Johnson Alcock said to me, I really like this book. It does exactly what you would want a kind of quirky British middle-class rock and roll comedy to do, but he said, unfortunately, I just don't think it's going to get you a mainstream publishing deal. I think it's a little bit too niche. So, what are you working on next? What are you going to write next? Now, if my answer to that question had been, well, nothing. This is my magnum opus, my masterpiece. It's going to make us both rich beyond our wildest dreams. And if you can't see that, then you, sir, are a dunderhead and a ninny hammer. Then I probably wouldn't be standing here right now talking to you, in front of a shelf of my books in various different languages, which I appreciate is incredibly conceited. But in my house we call this the vanity shelf. But anyway, so if I shot him down and if I didn't have another book prepared, if I didn't know where I was going next, I would have had no answer to that question. But instead I said, well, Ed, I've got this idea that I've been sort of turning over in my head based on some time I had spent ghostwriting for a One Direction fan site based in Australia. And the idea was that an ordinary 16-year-old girl gets thrown into the world of a chart-topping boy band. And I pitched him that idea, and Ed went, yes, now that I could definitely sell, we can definitely work on. And so he took me on that basis, and that idea became Songs About a Girl. An agent, you see, will be interested not just in what you've written, but in your long-term career. So I really can't stress this enough. Know where you're going next. Know what your next idea is. Number 4, be thick-skinned. Now this is the tough love side of things. The life of a writer is full of rejection. As an author, you will be told no again and again and again and again, and you have to be able to bounce back from that. You see, the industry doesn't owe you success, no matter how much you want it. I remember I used to watch the X Factor, the audition stages, and people would get up on stage and they would say to the panel, I've wanted this since I was little. And I used to think, well, who doesn't want to be a pop star? It's like they were expecting Simon Cowell to say, oh, I see, you want to be a pop star. Well, in that case, have a record deal and a stretched Hummer and Katy Perry's phone number. The thing is that wanting it isn't enough. You have to fight for it as well. Now, some ways I feel quite lucky that I came into publishing after a decade or so in the trenches of the music industry. The music industry is notoriously cutthroat And just being in that environment had necessarily given me a thick skin already. And I felt a bit like moving from music into publishing was kind of like climbing from a snake pit into a ball pit. But as lovely as everyone who I've met in publishing is, it's still an industry that's defined by rejection. And if you don't think you can handle people saying no to you, or people saying, I like this, but we need to change it here, here, and here, if you are the sort of person who thinks of themselves as a kind of misunderstood genius who knows better than everyone else, then publishing may not be the industry for you. Now, finally, and perhaps most importantly, number 5, be humble. Since my first book came out, I've been lucky enough to meet some amazing best-selling YA authors. People like Patrice Lawrence, Holly Bourne, Kieran Millward Hargrave, and Will Hill, who just this week won the YA Book Prize for his incredible novel After the Fire. And the thing that all these people have in common, apart from their huge success, is their humility. You meet them and you talk to them, and it's obvious straight away that despite everything they've achieved, they know they can keep on improving, they can keep on learning, they can keep on being better writers. Being an author is about walking a very strange tightrope between being confident enough in your abilities to actually finish the book and get it out there, but not so overconfident that you stop learning. Because with every book, with every chapter, with every sentence, you can become a better writer. And the minute you forget that, you've lost it. Okay, and we're done. I hope these tips have been helpful to you if you are an aspiring author yourself. If you want to ask me any more questions, you can get in touch via the contact page on my website. I've left a link in the box below. You can subscribe to my channel by clicking on my face here. Not my actual face, but this face. And I'll see you next time. Cheers.